It's time for the yearly Fighters Collection, which brings us something quite different this time, which is set to revolutionize the game as they always do. So, the way that this one works is that the double rares are pretty much almost all heals that interact with the new G-Guards for each clan, which are triple rares, and then the GRs, one for each clan, are the GB8 strides. So we're gonna kind of go into everything 3 at a time and just gonna go over everything fast because the heals don't really need much talking about. They do a lot of similar things throughout all the clans, and so it's going to be mostly just these strides and a little bit for the G-Guards. But before that, we're going to go over the Cray Elementals, first one of which is Snow Elemental Launcher. So the skills are an act once per turn on the Vanguard circle, you can count them as 1. If you have a hard card with 10k power or less, you draw a card and this unit gets plus 5k until end of turn. And the other skill is, when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, if you have a hard card with 10k power or less, choose up to 1 heal from your drop zone and you may return it to your hand. Well, you return it to hand, there's no you may. And this is a Cray Elemental. So this is a really nice one because it helps those decks that don't run 11k grade 3s. So if you play something like Salome or some other, older style cards, and even Crossfires that have 10k power as base work together with this. So there's quite a few things you can do with this card, so it's definitely worth picking up if you play decks like that. Next we have Heat Element Merindol. For skills and act once per turn, you choose a face down card from your G-Zone turn face up. Until end of turn, this unit gets the skill that when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, choose one of your rear guards and it gets plus 5k for each face up card in your G-Zone until end of turn. Not sure how much this one will be used. It seems, I'm not sure why they made this one, but I mean it's essentially an on hit. It gives you more generation breaks. I guess that's the main purpose. If your clan doesn't have those already, which I'm pretty sure it does. And on top of that, it has some hit pressure that equals in a lot of power if you use this in late game. But then it kind of defeats the purpose because you'd be using this late game to get your GB2s and GB3s off faster. But the second part kind of asks you to use it late game when your whole your whole G-Zone is face up. So I'm not sure of the direction of this guy, but maybe we'll see throughout time. And finally, we have the one that a lot of people are interested in, which is Air Element Raktom. So this one is essentially a Aglium reprint because it's the exact same skill, but you can play both. Obviously, it's still a different card, but it has the same skill of when you G-Guard with it, you can discard a card if you do draw a card. So this is exactly like Aglium, so it's just more accessible now as a double rare from this set. So if you haven't picked up your Agliums already, you might as well pick this one up instead. And now let's get into the clans. So no particular order this time, although, well, one, which is going to be alphabetical. So we're going to go in alphabetical order of clans, because there's no point in expressing kind of like favoritism or anything, because it's every single clan anyway, so that would take too long to organize. So we're going to start off with Angel Feather. So here are the 3 cards, so the Stride, the G-Guard, and as well as the heal. So the heal, just Soul Blast once if you G-Guard for the triple rare one, and you can countercharge 1 if you do, if you have 1 or less face-up card in your damage zone. And then the G-Guard has a GB1 skill, so all these G-Guards have GB1 skills, so you cannot use them as your first G-Guard if you have no face-up G-units, you can't use them basically, because they need 1 to be face-up already. When you G-Guard, it's not face-up in your G-Zone, it's face-up in your guard zone, so it doesn't count as GB1 yet. So do keep that in mind, that you can't like use these before you Stride or before you G-Guard with something else. So her skill is, when you guard with her, you can Soul Blast 1 and flip a G-Guardian face up. If you do, she gets plus 5k until end of battle for each face-up card in your damage zone. Fairly average, I'd say, because the Soul Blast 1 is not the best thing, especially for Gavriel, because she uses up a lot of soul these days, and the fact that she only counts face-up damage for her plus 5k shield thing is also not the best, but it's okay, it can definitely work, but it would be nice if it gave you plus 5 for each damage so you have, so then it would be a really big wall. And some other G-Guards that we get in this set kind of do similar things, so I was kind of expecting that, but it's definitely a good G-Guard, would play it as a 1 copy. And then the Stride is Black Seraph Velator Terminal, so she is the first GB we're going to talk about, and she's got that strong pit game going on as well. And then her skill is a Rescue GB8. When she attacks a Vanguard, all the units in your front row get plus 2k for each card in your damage zone until end of turn, so a potential plus 10, but only the front row, which is a bit unfortunate. And then her other part of the skill is, choose up to 5 cards from your damage zone and heal them. Choose one of your Vanguards and deal friend for each damage healed with this effect, deal 1 damage. So essentially Rescue 5. The problem with this is that she can really deck you out fast. Like, the skill is pretty overwhelming because 5 rescue checks is going to be, that's 5 chances of a trigger to kind of boost up your power and everything else even more, and possibly get stands and crits and whatever. But the problem is that by the time you reach GB8, chances are your deck isn't even that big anymore, you know, especially if you're using Gabriel. So, you know, this Rescue 5 isn't exactly going to be too great, but I know that some people have already pulled it off and, you know, not been in danger and just won off of this card, so it's definitely a good one, and I do like it as well. So the only real damage is, you know, count your deck and be careful when you use it. The next clan combo of 3 we're going to look at is Aqua Force. So once again, the Stride, the G-Guard, and the Heal. This time the Heal is one of the filtering ones, so when you discard it for the specified G-Guard, then you discard a grade 1 or less card, and you draw a card, so it is quite specific about what you discard. So these ones are okay, but I feel like they're it depends, but yeah. And then the G-Guard is Guard Leader of Sky and Water, Ijoanes. And his skill is when you guard with him, you can almost 1, obviously also on GB1, and you flip face up a G-Guardian. If you do, you choose up to 5 of your rear guards, and until end of turn they get continuous resist, and continuous this unit cannot be hit, and this unit gets plus 5k for each chosen unit. This is, in my opinion, one of the best G-Guards. Not the best, I think, but one of the best G-Guards for this set, because it gives resist for a clan that really needs it. You can't use it on, you know, your first... Well, you can't use it if you don't have a face-up G unit already, but the fact that it's not just resist but also cannot be hit is just amazing. Like, this is one of the really better G-Guards, so Aqua Force especially really appreciates this one, and the plus 5k for each chosen unit is going to give you a whopping, you know, a good 25k shield or something, so it's definitely very nice, and I really like this G-Guard. Now the Stride is act once per turn, GB8, count plus 1. Until end of turn, this unit gets the skill from wave 2nd to 4th time, so this also includes a 3rd time if I'm not mistaken. And the skill is when your rear guard attacks, that unit gets plus 5k until the end of that battle. And at the end of that battle, look at 4 cards on top of your deck, call a card from among them to the same rear guard circle of the unit that attacked, and if the unit that was called has the wave ability, that unit and this unit get plus 5k until end of turn. Shuffle your deck. So this will only be valid for 3 battles if I'm not mistaken, so the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th battle of your rear guards, so are going to be adding up a total of possibly 15k power if I'm not mistaken to the Vanguard, and then 5k to each attacking one, and then 5k to the one that gets spawned. So you're going to get a lot of extra attacks from this, which is really cool, and overall really like this guy, but you do need to get waves off of that to actually, you know, benefit quite well. So that kind of exempts a lot of cards that could possibly do that. But overall, this Stride, at least from what I've been told from Aqua Force players, isn't that bad, but it's not one of the better GB8s either. The next combo of 3 we have is Bermuda. So the Heal is the same one as the last one, so it filters, and the G-Guard this time is Bless Sparkle Sandy. When you guard with her, you just flip face up a G-Guardian, that's it, nothing else. And if you do this, unit gets plus 5k shield until the end of that battle for every 2 cards in your hand. So depending on which stages of the game you use this in, it could actually be a lot of shield. Then you may Counterblast an additional Counterblast essentially, just to get another 5k shield. So you probably won't be using that, I imagine, but the first part is definitely quite strong in my opinion because of, you know, Bermuda's ability to build up a huge amount of hand. Now the GB8 Stride is Festal Final Priscilla, or Priscilla. So she has a GB8. At the end of the battle, if she attacked a Vanguard, you may choose a card from your hand and discard it. If you do, return all of your rear guards to your hand, choose up to 5 cards from your hand, call them separate rear guard circles, and they get plus 5k until end of turn. I kind of see this as like a different kind of Olivia, so it's no Counterblast, but she doesn't get the crit, but she converts it into giving, you know, 5 units 5k power, so essentially 10k per column. You know, you're not going to be doing anything with the one behind her anyway. You probably won't call anything behind her from this because it is up to 5. But the card is quite strong. It does, you know, work as a finisher. If they got plus 10k power each, it might be a bit too strong. So I think the plus 5k is a pretty good balance. But the card is quite strong and does function well with the clan as well. The next combo we have is Dark Irregulars, so once again, the 3 cards. The Heal this time is a bit different. One is discarded to G-Guard with the Vincent G-Guard. You may put it into the Soul instead of the drop zone. So this is how, there's quite a few of these, but this is how the Dark Irregulars one works. Now the G-Guard itself is Medical Studies of Extinction Vincent. The skill is when G-Guard, once again, just flip face up a G-Guard, no other cost. If you do, you Soul Charge 1, and this unit gets plus 5k until the end of that battle for every 5 cards in your Soul. So 5 equals 5, 10 equals, you know, it basically, for each 5 is going to get plus 5k shield. It's quite easy multiplication. I don't think I need to say it for you. But this is a well-balanced and pretty strong one. No additional cost, gives you Soul Charge. Overall, a very solid one. Now the GB8 I think is not that great. It's Cascade of Absolute Zero, Rootland Betray. But the skill is GB8 continuous, all the units in your front row get plus 13k power and plus 1 crit for every 13 cards in your soul. Realistically, you're only gonna get this off twice, so it's gonna be a 26 plus 2 crit. So it includes him, and it also includes your front row rear guards. But my only problem is that, like, you probably only get this off twice, and, you know, it just feels a bit lackluster. I don't know. Like, I haven't tested against this, and I'm not sure how DI players are finding this, but in my opinion, it could be a bit stronger. It could be 15k. Like, I get that 13 is really edgy, and, you know, you want to be edgy with Dark Regulars, but they could have just given the magical number instead of the 13. But that's just my opinion. Now, this next one is the one I'm personally most interested in, which is the combo of the Dimension Police ones. First of all, the heal is the one that Soul Blast 1 to Countercharge 1. Not really needed in Dimensional Robos in my opinion, because don't really have any more Counter Blast problems, I think. But in some other builds, it definitely is worth it. Next we have the G-Guard, which is Oceanic Conversion Atlantis Dolphin. His art is just so amazing, I really love it. This whole like transformation from the little dolphin into this like huge, amazing looking mech is just incredible. So the skill is on GB1, when you guard with it, you flip face up a G-Guardian, and if you do, and it has to be during the battle that your opponent's Vanguard attacked, you get plus 5k shield until the end of that turn for each of your rear guards, so potential plus 25. And if this unit's shield is 30k or greater, you countercharge 1 and soul charge 1. So gives you resources and gives you huge shield. This is definitely a very good G-Guard. Again, I wouldn't say it's the best one, but it's definitely very good. Now the GB8 for Dimension Police is Dimensional Robo Overall Command Ultimate Die King. So GB8 skill, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, this unit gets plus 10k and plus 1 crit for each of your rear guards until end of that battle. That means it can get up to plus 50k plus 5 crit. At the end of the battle, if this unit's power is 80k or greater, all of your rear guards get plus 10k for each of this unit's critical until end of turn. So the 80k is very easy to reach because, you know, you're 26 by default, you get another extra 50, you're 76, boost with anything, and you're pretty much there. And then, you know, if you get any crits on top of that, like that you drive check, and you for some reason give them to your Vanguard, you can convert that even more power because all of your guys get a plus 10. So it's like you're already giving them essentially plus 50 each, and then you can, if you get more crits, you can give them even more. So like the amount of power you can get out of this is amazing. This is one of the best GB8s. It's definitely up there together with the top 3 or 4 or 5. Because there are some that are better than this, I will admit, because this does require you to be on full field, which is not the easiest thing for Dimensional Robos, and there's also a lot of, obviously, matchups that this will not work as well in, so that's definitely something you have to consider. But I think this is an amazing GB8, it fits perfectly with Dimension Police's flavor, and especially with Dimensional Robos as well, but it's not restricted to Dimensional Robos, it's just a name, so you can play this in any DP deck, which I highly recommend. Now the next combo does contain at least one of the best cards, which is Gear Chronicles. So for the heal we have another Uluru. This one is a different kind of heal, so when she's discarded for this Uluru new G-Guardian, you choose a normal unit from your drop zone and put it on the bottom of your deck. So this is the other type of heal skill. Now the G-Guard, this one in my opinion is the actual best one in the set. So when you guard with it on GB1, you can almost one and choose a face down G-Guardian and flip it face up. If you do this, unit gets plus 5k shield for each face up card in your G-Zone until end of that battle. I say this is the best just because like the timing when you will use this in most cases is going to be that timing when you have like, you know, 7 or 6 or 8 face up G units, so you're going to be getting a lot of shield power, maybe even more. Like you could use this at the very last second when you have 15, well, 15 face up with the one that you flip up for the cost. But yeah, I think this is the best G-Guardian in the set. I think it's just insane. Like obviously Gear Chronicle had to get the best one, but at least the art is really good. But the final card for Gear Chronicle is Interdimensional Dragon Beyond Order Dragon, which is the GB8. So it has an act once per turn, GB8, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, and bind 8 cards from the top of your deck face up. After the original battle phase of this turn, you will perform an additional main phase and battle phase. Until end of turn, this unit gets the skill. At the beginning of your main phase, stand this unit and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. Essentially, You get a new turn, but it starts with the main phase and only the Vanguard stands, meaning that when you use the skill and go back to the main phase, your rear guards are still rested because you didn't restart the turn. You don't stand and draw, you don't even draw, you just restand the Vanguard, that's it, but you're still going to lose a drive check. So if you do want extra attacks apart from the Vanguard, you will have to call them out from your hand, so do, bear that in mind, that you don't stand and draw from this, that you're still going to have to call out new units, and you're not going to get that extra card in your hand, because it would be a little bit too much. The other thing I don't really like about this guy is the bind 8. I know it can be good in some cases, but you're already on GB 8, you've already gone through a lot of your deck. At least your Chronicle can put back cards fairly quickly, but the bind 8 is it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy in my opinion. I don't know how you guys are testing it, just from experience, because I don't know, just from a theory crafting perspective, I feel like the bind 8 is pretty big, but it does, make sense. It needs to be a hefty cost for this good of an ability. I don't know if I would say this is the best one, because there's still one more contender, but this is either the first or second best of the GB8s. Next up we have Genesis. So the heal is the one that puts into soul, just like the Dark Regulars one, and now the G-Guardian is Witch Queen of Accomplishment Laurier. So when you guard with her, you flip a G-Guardian face up. If you do, choose 2 or more up to a total of 3 normal units with the same grade from your drop zone or soul, return them to your deck, and this unit gets plus 5k shield until the end of that battle for each card returned. Shuffle your deck. So either gets a plus 10k shield or plus 15k shield, but does recycle some stuff, so it is a nice G-Guard. From what I've seen, people tend to run this as a one-of. So there's that, and then the GB8 for Genesis sadly isn't too amazing, but let's go over it anyway. When it attacks the Vanguard, you can Soul Blast any number of cards, and all of your rear guards get plus 2k until end of turn for each card you Soul Blasted. If you Soul Blasted 3 or more cards, this unit gets plus 10k and a crit. So it is strong in the regard that, you can Soul Blast 15, and then you're just going to be giving 30k to every single rear guard, which is definitely quite big, but it's... if you're going to use it, you want to essentially finish the game. So she gains the crit for that reason as well. But yeah, I think she's actually quite okay, but it just depends on timings and when you're going to use her and whatnot. But overall, she's definitely not that bad. Next up, we have Great Nature. There's quite a lot of clans that start with G. We still have Gold, Paladin, and Grand Blue to go through. So, in Great Nature, we have the heal, which countercharges, and then the G-Guard is Sheltered Heres Spangled. So the skill is, when you guard with it, you can almost one and flip a G-Guardian face up. If you do, choose any number of your great 3 or less Guardians, and until the end of that battle, they get the skill that when this unit is retired from Guardian Circle, draw a card. So essentially, when you guard with anything that is not a trigger, or a G-Guard, when it goes to the drop zone, you're going to be able to draw a card from that. So it's a very, very good G-Guard, because, you're gonna drop it on a battle that you're gonna have to guard a lot for, because you don't gain any extra shield. Do keep that in mind. This doesn't gain any extra shield, but it converts all the other shield that you drop together with this into additional cards. So in the end, it's actually quite nice and quite an interesting card as well. And finally, the GB8 for Great Nature is Immortality Professor Sahasrara Veera. That was quite a mouthful. So the Act GB8 skill is, you choose 2 cards from your hand and discard them. Choose up to 5 of your rear guards until the end of turn, they get plus 10k and the skill that at the end of your turn, retire this unit. And if the number of cards in your hand is 1 or less, this unit gets plus 40k plus 1 crit. So this is not once per turn, so the point of that second part of this skill is that you use it more than once. So you discard 2, give everything 10, and then you discard 2, give everything 10, and then until you're down to 1 card, and then suddenly he pumps himself up by 40k and a crit. So, up to you if you want to go out with such a bang, but, it definitely could be strong, but you're gonna have to discard quite a lot to get, the big powers out of him, so it is a pretty hefty cost. Meanwhile, D-Robos do the same thing, if not better, by just having a full field and attacking, so there is quite some difference. Next up we have Gold Paladin. So the heal is the one that countercharges, and now the G-Guard is True Liberator of Healing Elise. So her skill is, when you guard with her, you can almost one and flip a G-Guardian face up. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, call a card from among them to Guardian Circle. Until the end of that battle, it gets the skill. When an attack does not hit, you may move this unit to Rearguard Circle, and put a card from among them on the bottom of your deck. So you just look at it, it's like a Slay Me Flare, kind of similar, but you call it out, and then if you guard it correctly, essentially, then you can move that unit to Rearguard Circle, and I'm not sure if moving it to Rearguard Circle would count as calling it, so I'm not sure if this will trigger any on-call skills, but it still gives you at least some, you know, advantage by letting you take a Guardian onto the rearguard circle, which is quite nice. So I do like it for that. Finally, the GB8 is Golden Knight of Lynx, Celta's winner. As GB8 Unite, when this unit attacks, choose up to 4 of your rearguards, and until end of turn they get the skill. At the end of the battle, if this unit attacked or boosted, look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, call a card from among them to rearguard circle, it gets plus 5k until end of turn, and put a card from among them on the bottom of your deck. Essentially, at the end, you just like give 4 rearguards a skill that at the end of them doing anything like boosting or attacking, you can just like look at top 2 and then call another attacker. So this will only happen once, like, you know, you'll use this on the 4 units and you'll get out 4 new units, which is definitely cool, but you won't be using that on the newly called units. So it just gives you 2 new attacks with boosters, most likely, but it's still a very, very strong GB8 in my opinion. Finally, we have what I might say is the best GB8 in the set, which is the Grand Blue one, but first let's go over the heal. So this one is the filtering one, so discard a grade 1 or less to draw a card. And now the G guard is Diabolist of Solicitation Negronora. So the skill is, when you guard with it, you soul blast 1 and flip a G Guardian face up. If you do, you choose 2 cards of different grades from your drop zone and you may call them to Guardian Circle. So, once again, doesn't gain any shield on her own, but she does pull out 2 cards from your drop zone, so you pick a grade 0 and you pick a, you know, grade 1 or whatever, and you just call it in there, and, you know, there you have it. So, pretty good G-Guard, I'd say, probably a 1 of. It's not Lily, but it's still pretty good. Now the GB8 is Unfading Ship Immortal Galeon. So the skill is, when you stride it, you choose up to 5 cards from your drop zone, call them to separate rearguard circles, they get plus 10k until end of turn, and at the end of that turn, retire the unit's call with this effect. Why I say this is probably the best one is, while it doesn't match up in power to Die King, but it's just like, you can have an empty field, you could have legit lost everything on your field, you know, hollowed everything, you can just top deck a Stride Fodder and go into this and probably win, because you just called 5 cards out of nowhere, giving them plus 10k. So this is one of those, like, just, it's so good in so many situations, cards, I would say. Like, Beyond Order is good as well in that kind of regard, but still, like, you're gonna do better if you have a lot of cards in hand. You're gonna do better if you can call out new attackers with a new main phase. So that's why I say it's like, it's probably second best. Well, this, it's like, you can be in the completely worst situation, like you're on 5 damage, no cards in the hand, no units, nothing, top deck a Stride Fodder, go into this and probably win. Like, that's how good this GB8 is, and I think it's definitely not something you should underestimate. It's also possible to play it in every deck, but you'll probably play it in, you know, Nairos most definitely, because, you know, you not only do you get these plus 10ks, but you also get other power from stuff like Rook, and then you can use your bones to, you know, just get other attackers. Those attackers won't get the plus 10k, but it's still gonna be a lot for your opponent to deal with, and once again, this can all happen from a top deck. The only real condition you need is to have a good drop zone, but by the time you reach GB8, you probably already do. Moving right along, we have another one that's pretty good, I would say. So this time we have Kagero. First of all, the heal is the countercharging one, and now the G-Guard is Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Advanced Guard Dragon. That's quite a mouthful. When you guard with it, you can Soul Blast 1 and flip a G-Guardian face up. If you do, you choose one of your opponent's grade 1 or less resting rearguards and retire it. So this won't do much against things like Laurel, because they're going to be standing at the time that you're going to, you know, guard with this when Laurel is relevant, but it can, you know, be used to get rid of pesky boosters and whatnot. And, you know, it doesn't have to be in the back row either. It can be grade 1 attackers, so you can always punish that as well, but they do have to be rested, so do keep that in mind. Overall, a fairly okay, pretty good actually, G-Guard, but I wouldn't say it goes over that of Nile Griffin. And finally we have the GR itself, which is Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Blazing Burst Dragon. So Blazing Flare finally has this kind of new look to him, I would say. So this GB8 has the skill, when it attacks the Vanguard, retire all of your opponent's rearguards, and all of your rearguards get plus 10k until end of turn. If 3 or more units were retired, this unit gets another plus 10k and the critical until end of turn. So it's kind of like how the Grand Blue one gives everything plus 10, but, you know, calls from the drop zone, while this puts things into the drop zone. So this one is okay, it's pretty good, but I wouldn't say it's amazing, because, like, you're already retiring things regardless, so it's kind of like, you know, just adding another layer of retire on top of retire, so it's not going to be as effective, I would say. But then again, you could say that about Granblue, like they already bring back from the drop zone, you know, and then this GBA brings it back more from the drop zone. But like this one is pretty good, it can definitely be good in some scenarios, and the extra critical is definitely something to like. And now we're getting onto another GB8 that I think is definitely sitting on the top 3, probably second or third again. It's kind of hard to put things very solidly, so we're moving into Link Joker. The heal is the one that countercharges, also she's quite cute. Doesn't look as cute in the G-Guard artwork in my opinion, it's mostly the face though, but her name is Darkness that Lights Up Demise Lacus Carina. So her skill is, when you guard with her, count +1 and flip a G-Guard in face up. If you do, choose up to 3 of your rear guards and lock them, and your opponent locks one of his or her units in the back row for each card that was locked. This is perfect in Messiahs, like you're just gonna lock 3 of your own, and then your opponent has to lock their whole back row essentially. So it's a very solid G-Guard, only 1 counterblast as well. Definitely something I like. I think she's quite strong, honestly, so this is definitely a very good G-Guard. And now the Stride is Genesis Machine Deity Altvilda. I think that's probably how you pronounce it. Act once per turn, GB8, counterblast 1, and discard 2 cards from your hand. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's open rears for each card in his or her damage zone, and your opponent chooses a card from their hand and puts it on that rearguard circle as a locked card. So you discard 2, and then you have to choose your opponent's open rearguard circle, so they cannot be occupied for each damage that they have, so it can be obviously up to 5 if they have that much open, and then they have to call locked cards from their hands. So if you're playing as Granblue and they have everything, you know, they just don't have any field trying to, you know, survive against Link Joker, you just pull this baby out and make them drop 5 cards from their hand, well, up to 5 cards from their hand, and, you know, then you just kind of overwhelm them with just being aggressive. So really good GB8. The art is also incredibly good. So amazing GB8 for Link Joker, definitely not something to be disappointed by. Next we have Mega Colony. The heal is the one that filters, and now the G-Guard is 7 stars Mutant Deity Relish Lady. So her skill is, when you guard with her, you flip a G-Guard in face up during the battle that your opponent's Vanguard attacked. And if you do, your opponent chooses 2 of their rear guards and they may rest them. If they don't rest 2, you draw a card, countercharge 1, and soul charge 1. So you force them to either rest 2 of their rear guards in their battle phase, or you get some advantage. You also get to draw a card, which is definitely cool. It doesn't gain any shield power, but you know, I think the resources do pay off. And now the GB8 is Suppression Mutant Deity Tarantis. The GB8's continuous skill is, all of your opponent's vanguards and rearguards lose their auto abilities and cannot intercept. All of your units get plus 5k for each of your opponent's resting vanguards and rearguards. So if you're on Legion, this is going to be an even bigger disadvantage. So definitely very interesting. The fact that they lose their auto abilities is very interesting, and you know, can definitely make for some odd interactions, I would say, at least in this where we are now with the game. So definitely very interesting GB8. Next we have Murakumo. So the heal is the one that puts a normal unit to the bottom of the deck, which makes sense. And now the G-Guard, which looks very cool, is Ambush Demon Stealth Rogue Shirahagino. Shirahagino? Probably. But the skill is, when you guard with her, counterblast 1 and flip a G-Guard in face up. If you do, choose 1 of your vanguards, and until end of turn it gets the skill. When a grade 3 or less unit is retired from a guarding circle, you may return that card to the bottom of your deck, and this unit gets plus 10k shield. So, gives more shield power, and recycles all of your grade 3s, grade 2s, and grade 1s, and grade 0s that you may guard with. So this time it does include grade 0s, which is definitely very cool. So I'd say it's a pretty good G-Guard. It's not the most defensive, but anything else that you're going to drop to guard at the same time, not just at the same time, but it gives a skill for the whole turn. So when you guard with anything throughout this whole turn, you're going to be able to put it to the bottom of the deck and then reuse these units for your combo, so it's definitely very good. Next is the GB8, which is Ambush Demon Stealth Dragon Mandalario. The skill is an act once per turn, GB8. Choose 2 cards from your drop zone and return them to your deck. Search your deck for up to 2 cards with the same card name as this unit, so basically your heart. Call them to separate rearguard circles, and until end of turn, they get the Shadow Stitch skill. At the end of the battle, your Vanguard attacks. If the attack didn't hit, you can discard 3 cards from your hand. If you do, move this unit to your Vanguard circle in stand and shuffle your deck. So the shuffle your deck happens before that, obviously. But this is cool because, I mean, you're going to stride this on top of a Yasuye, and then you're going to grab 2 Yasuyas, and then essentially, if your Vanguard didn't hit, which it probably will not have at this stage, you know, in the GB8 stage, then you're just gonna get yourself another Vanguard attack. Only 11k, unless you keep your booster, but still very cool. Next is one of my personal favorite GB8s, and also all three cards really. So this is Narugami, and the heal is the one that countercharges, and now the G-Guard is Sky Guardian Supreme Dragon Impede Dragon. When you guard with it, you flip a G-Guardian face up. If you do, your opponent chooses one of their rear guards and retires it and binds it face up, and if the number of your rear guards is less than your opponent's rear guards by 2 or more, your opponent chooses one of their rear guards and retires it. So if you're already low on field, you get an even bigger advantage out of this guy. And yes, opponent does choose, and I used to complain about this, but now I realize that even though you force your opponent to choose all the time and it's not you choosing, you're just doing it so many times that it doesn't even matter anymore. They're just gonna eventually lose everything. So this guy is strong, a really good G-Guard, but now we're getting onto the best part, which is conquering Supreme Dragon, close our dragon. So this GB8 is the perfect anti-meta stride. When he's stridden, retire all rear guards of all fighters, bind all of the cards in your opponent's drop zone face up, and until end of turn, this unit gets the continuous skill. All of your units get plus 2k for each card in all fighters' bind zones. This card is insane. So the meta right now, I don't know, like if I rewatch this video in like 3 years, it probably might not be the same. But the meta right now in 2017 is a lot of Luard, a lot of Night Rose, a lot of 7 Runner, a lot of drop zone related decks that really rely on having their pieces in the drop zone. What does this guy do? He just goes like, fuck your drop zone, you're going away. You're just gonna go into the bind zone. There's no more access of your key units for Night Rose, no more ritual for Luard, and that's it. This GB8 is really cool. Its art is cool, the skill is cool. I really like a lot of things about it. So when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this is really impressive. Next we have another one that I was quite excited about, which is the Nova Grappler combo. So first the heal is the one that countercharges. Probably will play it, but just because it looks like, you know, a good Gurren Lagann reference. But the G-Guard looks like Gundam Unicorn, so there goes the Gurren Lagann reference. Like, this really looks like Unicorn to me. I don't know about you guys, but the skill of Meteor Kaiser Gundread is when you guard with it, you flip a G-Guardian face up. If you do choose one of your Vanguards until end of turn, it gets the skill that at the end of the battle that this unit was attacked. If the attack didn't hit, you countercharge 1. Insanely good G-Guard. This is... I might be a bit biased, probably, well, very much definitely am, but this G-Guard is so solid because you drop it, and then, you know, even if it's for small attack, but each time you guard anything else after, it's going to give you a countercharge. You can afford to have a super aggressive playstyle where you burn through counterblast like no tomorrow, and then just kind of drop this guy, block 4 attacks, block 5 attacks, countercharge everything, done. It's amazing. I really like this guy. He's such a good G-Guard. You only really need to run 1, you could run 2, but it's amazing how like they gave us the one previously in GPT-10 and this one just outclasses it like immediately. You can't drop this guy on the first, you know, G-Guard if you haven't stridden yet, but you know, after that it starts putting in magic. Definitely very cool. However, we kind of fall down after that with Fang Dragon King Fist Drigger. So let's talk about his art. To me, he looks like, I think it's Wargreymon. It's like the Digimon, you know? So like it really looks like it. I don't know, like it just looks so much, the color schemes, the whole like pose and everything just looks so much like it. I really like this art though, it looks so good. His skill sadly is not the most amazing, and definitely nothing... I wouldn't say it's nothing, but compared to PogChamp, you know, they're being played at similar paces, and I'm not sure if it really matches up, but let's go over it anyway. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may counterblast 1. If you do, stand all your rear guards until end of turn, they get the once per turn skill. When this unit rests, stand this unit. And this unit gets plus 5k until end of that battle for each of your rear guards. So the way it's going to work is that he's going to swing for a huge number and he's going to withstand everything. Then, those restood things, as soon as they attack or boost, they will also restand, so they will give you additional battles. So, you're doing all of this at just 1 counterblast, you're getting a lot of power and a lot of rearguard attacks, so you're going to be doing 3 attack. If you don't have any cool Hanks or Arboreals, it's like 3 attacks with the Vanguard included, then 2 more attacks, and then 2 more attacks. So, you're getting 7 without Arboreals or, you know, cool Hanks. And then with an Arboreal or a cool Hank, that goes up by 1 essentially. So still very good, but like PogChamp is kind of played already as a GB8 slot, so this isn't super amazing, but I still think it's a very cool card. The art of it and the skill itself isn't that bad, but the art is just amazing, and I really like it for that. And it's also pretty much a Beyblade reference at this stage as well with the name. Next up we have Meu Nectar. So the heal is Cherry and Blossom, I do like that name, and the skill is just to put on the bottom of the deck, put a normal unit from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck, my bad. And the G-Guard is Flower Princess of Cherry Costerina. So the skill is when you guard with it, you can almost 1 and flip a G-Guard and face up. If you do until end of that battle, this unit gets plus 5k, choose up to 1 card from your hand and call it to rearguard circle, and if you have 2 or more units with the same card name as the called unit, this unit gets another plus 10k shield. So just a 30k shield essentially, and you get to call something out, proc some bloom combos, and that's about it. So I think it's like a direct upgrade of the last Fighters Collection Meu Nectar G-Guard, and that's pretty much it, but it does have a Counterblast 1 cost attached to it. Now the GB8 Stride is Flower Princess of Candor Lindros Premier. Her skill is, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can choose 3 normal units from your drop zone and return them to your deck. If you do, choose one of your units and search your deck for up to 3 cards with the same card name as that unit, call them to separate rearguard circles, and the units called with this effect and this unit get plus 10k for each called unit until end of turn. Shuffle your deck. So gonna be hitting for big power, but my only problem is it's like, yeah, this will hit for big power, but like, Bloom already smashes for huge power, so it's not going to be something, I feel it's not going to be as handy in Bloom, but for other decks like Maiden of, and I think even Musketeers could actually use this quite well. So definitely something to look out for in like all Meu Nectar decks, so not just dismiss this as just like, oh, Bloom does it better, it can work pretty well in other Meu Nectar decks as well. Next up we have the very much hyped at the moment Tama. So this is not exactly Tama's high point just yet, it's still coming in GBT 11, which for some reason we're getting 3 months later than Japan in English, but you know, what can you do? So the heal is the filtering one, and now the G-Guard is Jinx Stealth Fiend Zashiki Hime. And her skill is, when you guard with her, you choose a face down G-Guard and you flip it face up. If you do, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and they may discard it. If they don't, this unit gets plus 20k shield until the end of that battle. So you either deal with a 35k shield or you discard a card. In most cases, they're probably just gonna, you know, it kind of depends on the position, on the situation really. I think when you're kind of pushing for a game, you might just discard because you're like, oh, well, you know, all I need is 5k more, just one more trigger to win, so I don't need more of your shield. So we might actually drop it in this case. And now the GB8 is Rikudo Stealth Dragon Rokushiki Rakan. Nubatama names are always a handful. Mouthful. The GB8 skill is, when your opponent's unit is placed on a Guardian Circle from hand, you may Counterblast 1 or Soul Blast 1. If you do, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and discards them. So, pretty interesting skill, because every time they guard, not just like against him, but against any attack, then they have to either Counterblast 1 or Soul Blast 1, and then just discard 2 cards. That's pretty big. And I think, you know, even if they guard against their dominations, it still counts as units placed on Guardian Circle. Obviously, you're not going to dominate as much with the Vanguard when you're using this, but you're still going to dominate with your rears and your stride skill. So this is going to become better as time goes on, I think. So definitely a good GB8. Next we head into Disappointment City, unfortunately. So the OTT heal is Lozenge Magus Fine. So she's the one that just filters. Definitely very nice art though. And now the grown-up, or well, future Lozenge is the Persevering One Lozenge Magus Apex. Her skill is, when you guard with her, you can almost 1 and flip a G-Guard and face up. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 card among them into your hand and the other one on the bottom of the deck. This could have been better. Imagine it would have let you put it on top of the deck, then it would be a bit better, but now it's like Counterblast 1 to draw 1 and put 1 on the bottom. It's like, what? Like, I don't know. They said they're gonna rework OTT or will make it much stronger in GBT 12, so let's hope they back up those words, because right now it's not looking good. And then finally we have Chief Deity of the Heavens Amaterasu, who is the GB8. So, once per turn GB8, Counterblast 1, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, put up to 3 cards from among them into your hand, and put each of the rest on the top or bottom of your deck in any order. Until end of turn, this unit gets Oracle. When your drive check reveals a trigger unit, all of the units in your front row get plus 5k until end of turn. Honestly, at this stage, I feel like they might as well just have let you look at your whole deck and just stack the top 5, because that would have been a much stronger GB8. Although, that being said, this isn't a bad one. It's like, you look at the top 5, you can, you know, take the normal units into your hand and then put the 3 triggers on top, and then when you check a trigger, then all the units in your front will get plus 5k, so it's like a 15k buff if you really get it off. And then it's also the plus triggers that can also spawn another 15k power spread out. So definitely not a bad G-Guard, I mean GB8. She was revealed really soon after Daiking, and then everything that came after Daiking was disappointing until like the ones we've already talked about, really. So people were like, oh wow, did they mess that up? But honestly, she's not that bad, I'd say. I think she can actually put in some work. Next we have Pale Moon. The heal is the one that goes into the soul, and the G-Guard is Kinesis Megatrick Coulthard, or Coulthard, not sure. But when you guard with it, you can flip a G-Guard in your face up, and if there are cards of 4 or more different grades in your soul. So that's another condition that wasn't there with most of the other G-Guards. If you do, this unit gets plus 15k shield until the end of that battle, so 30k shield, but you have to have a grade 0, a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3 in your soul. A bit of a steep condition, I would say, so I'm not sure how good this one is, but luckily the GB8 stride is actually pretty strong. So Scream Dragon Master Droll Kimberly, her skill on GB8 is when she attacks a Vanguard, choose up to 5 cards from your soul and call them to separate rearguard circles, and at the end of that turn, they get plus 5k and become the Abyss Dragon race. Until end of that battle, this unit gets this unit gets plus 10k for each Abyss Dragon on your rearguard circles, so she gives herself a plus 50k essentially, and also gives you 5 new units to do attacks with, and possibly combos, and then they also get plus 5k, so definitely very cool. This can be played in Silverthorns, this can be played in Magia, obviously. Definitely a good GB8, not so hot on the heal. The heal's okay actually, but the G-Guard, not that hot on it, sorry. Next we have Royal Paladin, so this heal is Maskull, which is the filtering one, and then the G-Guard is Holy Beast Divine Maskull. When you guard with it, you flip a G-Guard in face up as always, if there is a rearguard in your front row, so that's another condition. If you do, this unit gets plus 10k shield until the end of that battle. Pretty good one because you can play it in pretty much all decks, like honestly pretty much all decks. So it's definitely a good G-Guard. You can just splash into Jewel Knights, put it to anything really, so definitely good. And next up we have the GB8, which is Divine Knight of the Condensed Light, Olbius Avalon. So his skill is GB8. When he attacks the Vanguard, you may count +1. If you do, search your deck for up to 5 cards, call them to separate rearguard circles, and until end of turn they get plus 4k, and this unit gets a critical. Shuffle your deck. See, when you first see this, you're like, oh, it's kind of solid, it seems okay. But in the end, it's like, when you reach GB8, you've already called out almost everything in your deck. You've called out, you know, if you're Jewel Knights, you've called out pretty much everything. If you're Ultmile, you've called out most of your grade 2s by now. You know, it's like, even if you're playing, you know, Sanctuary, or if you're playing any Royal build, really, by the time you hit GB8, you've probably already called out all your main units that you want to call out, and you're just hitting for numbers by now. So this one doesn't really help because it's those 5 cards that you call that get the plus 4k. You can't just like choose not to call and then still get the power. It's just a bit, yeah. It's a little bit unfortunate that this guy wasn't that great, but what can you do? Next up we have the Shadow Paladin one, and I really like the art of the heal. For some, like, I really like this one, just the art is so good. I don't know, the G-Guard one doesn't look as good, but Witch Queen of Iniquity, Gelido, her skill is, when you guard with her, you flip a G-Guard in face up. If you do, choose up to 2 of your grade 1 or less rearguards and move them to Garden Circle. If you move 2 cards, draw a card. This is pretty good at this stage, especially with things like Ritual, because you can just, you know, drop Owls and, you know, just grade 1s really in there, get yourself a new card, and then they're just gonna go to drop zone and then fuel your Ritual for next turn. So, you know, not super good, but playable, I would say. And then the GB8 Stride, which was revealed together with Daiking as one of the first GB8s, is Dark Knight Irgon Vert. So, the skill is an act once per turn GB8 count +1, choose up to 5 of your rearguards and retire them. Search your deck for up to the same number of grade 1 or less cards as the number of units retired, call them to separate rearguard circles, they get plus 15k power until end of turn, choose up to the same number of your opponent's rearguards as the number of units called, retire them, and shuffle your deck. This one is a bit better than the Royal one, but still suffers from the same curse where by GB8 you're gonna start running out of things to call. Maybe not so much, but still very much so, because, like, you know, at least with Ritual you can bring back cards to call out with this guy, but you can't really do that so much with Royals, at least with most deck builds. So that's a bit of a problem, but he does give plus 50k shield to make up for the fact that you're calling grade 1 or less. But also the retire is definitely very nice, so this guy is actually quite solid. And his art looks very mecha based. It looks a lot more robotic than most Shadow Paladins. Next we have Spike Brothers, which were definitely quite hyped up, I would say. So the heal is the one that goes into the soul, and the G-Guard is King of Interference, Terrible Linus. So when you guard with him, you flip a G-Guard and face up. If you do choose one of your rear guards and you may put it into your soul, this unit gets plus 10k until end of that battle for every 2 of your open circles. So if you have 4 circles open, then it's gonna have plus 20k, but it's not really gonna get more than that. But still, solid G-Guard, just gets enough power, gives you also soul, which is quite appreciated. And now the GB8, which people are trying to play the Turbo GB8 build, where they play 4 Mecha Trainers just to fetch the heals and do all the G guarding. So this is Temerarious Cataclysmic Rogue Hellheart 8. Jesus, that's a mouthful. So his GB8 is when your unit attacks, choose one of your units, and until end of turn he gets plus 10k power and the skill. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked or boosted, you can choose this unit and the card from your hand and put them into your soul. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 card, call it to an open rearguard circle, and shuffle your deck. Whoa, it's just pretty crazy. Like, you're gonna, no matter what you call out, is gonna be getting plus 10k, and you know, on top of that, the ones you already have are going to be getting plus 10k, and there's other units that gain even more power and other skills, and then, you know, there's just so much that adds up to this, and in the end, this is a very strong GB8. At first, I wasn't too hot on it, because, like, realistically, I feel like Spike Brothers don't reach GB8 that easily, but I guess if you really are hellbent on playing the, you know, the 4 Mecha Trainers, then it should be pretty easy to reach. And now the final cards we have are Tachikaze. So the heal is the one that filters, and now the G-Guard is Barrage Giant Cannon Bullish Primer. When you guard with it, you flip a G-Guard and face up. If you do, this unit gets plus 5k shield until the end of that battle for each of your open circles. So it's going to be building up a fair bit. You're probably going to have like 3 per average, so that's going to be 15k shield in most cases. So a fairly okay G-Guard. And now the GB8 Stride is Destruction Tyrant Volcan Tyranno. Has Engorge, as always, and the GB8 skill, when your rearguard is retired, choose up to one of your opponent's rearguards, retire it, choose one of your rearguards, and that unit and this unit get plus 10k until end of turn. So, something dies due to Engorge, something else on your opponent's field dies because of that, with your own choice, and then you get power on 2 ends, and he becomes a huge powerhouse as well. So, pretty strong card. He also doesn't have to be engorged to use his skill, so that's something worth noting. But he's not one of the best, I would say, but he's okay. But there are definitely better ones in this set. So that did take a bit longer than expected, but we did have to look at every single clan in the game, so it is a bit expected, but I don't know, I guess I walked in with false expectations. But I will be opening up a couple boxes of this set as well, because now we do have our new locals that I'll be featuring in a video fairly soon, so because of that I am trying to support the shop and actually buy the product. The only reason why I didn't really do many box openings before is because I didn't have a shop, because our only shop closed down, and then now we finally have one, so I'm actually encouraged to buy product again. So that's, you know, something to look forward to. But apart from that, I think that's pretty much it for me. So which of the GB8s are you guys excited about? And, you know, do you think some of them are way overpowered compared to some of the others? You know, like, I don't know, like even this Tachikaze one that we just talked about. So I think in the sense of being more, like, less than the OP ones. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for me for this video, I think. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and as always, do enjoy Fighters Collection, because it does usually come just once a year. So that's pretty much it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.